The rain hammered the roof like 1,000 accusations, drowning out the hum of the old fridge in our cramped kitchen. I stood there, fists clenched on the scarred oak table, staring at Adam, my stepdad, the man who'd raised me since I was 8, as if he'd just confessed to murder. "Marry me, Nate," he said again, his voice cracking like thunder outside, eyes locked on mine with a desperation I'd never seen. "It's the only way you'll get the house, the land, everything your mom left behind. But it's more than that. God help me, it's always been more." I stumbled back, my heel catching the leg of a chair, crashing it to the linoleum floor with a splintering thud that echoed my fracturing world. The word marry hung in the air like smoke from a fire I hadn't lit, choking me as memories flooded in. Mom's laughter fading into hospital beeps, Adam's quiet hands folding my laundry after she was gone. The way his gaze lingered a beat too long when I came home from college last summer, shirtless from mowing the lawn in our dusty Iowa backyard. I'd buried those flickers deep, told myself they were grief's cruel jokes, but now here he was, 45 and frayed at the edges, offering me our family's crumbling empire on a platter poisoned with forbidden want. "Nathaniel," he whispered, stepping closer, the scent of his aftershave, sandalwood and regret, mixing with the storm's ozone bite. His hand hovered near my arm, not touching, as if he knew one graze could shatter us both. I wanted to scream, to bolt into the downpour and never look back at this falling-apart farmhouse that held all our ghosts. But I didn't, because beneath the shock, twisting like a knife in my gut, was the truth I'd evaded for years. I felt it too. That pull. That ache. And in the heart of the Midwest, where cornfields whispered secrets to the wind, admitting it could destroy everything. The storm raged on that night in Eldridge, Iowa, a speck on the map where everyone knew your business before you did. I'd driven back from Chicago 2 days ago, fresh off a semester at Northwestern studying literature, Chaucer and Whitman, words that danced around desire without naming it. Mom's call had yanked me home. Cancer, stage 4, faster than the doctors could spit out platitudes. She was gone in weeks, leaving behind this sagging Victorian house on 10 acres of black soil, the kind that fed families or broke them depending on the harvest. And Adam. Always Adam, the stoic mechanic who'd married her when my real dad bailed, tools calloused on his palms, a smile rare as a double rainbow. We buried her under a sky bruised purple, the preacher droning about eternal rest while I gripped Adam's elbow to keep from folding. He was rock solid then, murmuring condolences to aunts and uncles who eyed him like an outsider. Irish blood, they said, with that brogue softened by decades in the States. Fled Belfast as a teen, built a life here welding trucks at the John Deere plant. But that night, after the casseroles cleared out, he cracked open a bottle of Jameson and we sat on the porch swing, the chains creaking like old bones. "To Ellen," he toasted, clinking his glass against mine. Mom's name lingered on his lips like a prayer. I nodded, throat tight, and we drank in silence until the fireflies blinked on, mimicking stars we couldn't reach. That's when he first said it. Not the marriage, but the will. "She wanted you to have it all, lad. The house, the land. But there's strings. Taxes, debts from the chemo. I can cover 'em, but only if." He trailed off, staring into the dark. Depressed, half-drunk and hollow. "If what?" His jaw tightened, that square line I'd memorized from 1,000 father-son fishing trips on the Cedar River. "If you stay, make this place yours. Not just inherit it, live it." I laughed, bitter as the whiskey burn. Stay? In Eldridge, where the high school jocks still called me Fairy under their breath for reading poetry in the quad. Where I'd fled to Chicago precisely to breathe without the weight of small-town stairs. But grief is a thief, stealing logic, so I promised I'd think on it. Lies we tell the dying, even when they're dust. The days blurred into a funeral fog. I sorted Mom's closet, her lavender sweaters smelling of hospital antiseptic, while Adam tinkered in the garage, the clang of wrenches a Morse code for unspoken sorrow. We ate takeout from the diner, greasy burgers and pie that stuck in my craw, avoiding the empty chair at the table. One evening, as thunder grumbled warnings, he found me in the attic, knee-deep in yellowed letters from my grandparents, their cursive loops tales of immigrant grit. "Nate," he called up the ladder, voice rough. "Kitchen. Now. No please. No preamble." I descended, dust motes swirling like accusations, and there he was, the will spread out like a battlefield map. Pages crisp from the lawyer's office, ink black as the soil outside. "Read it," he said, sliding a chair out with his boot. My hands shook as I scanned. The house to me, the acres to me, but contingent. Contingent on what? He poured coffee, black as sin, and sat across, elbows on knees, that faded tattoo of a Celtic not peeking from his rolled sleeve. "Your ma. She knew about us. Not the details, but the undercurrents. Made me promise to protect you." My heart stuttered. "She worried you'd run off to that big city and forget your roots. Or worse, get hurt by him." His eyes, green as shamrock envy, held mine. "So she tied it up. All to you, but I hold the deed till you're settled. Married. Stable. Married." The word landed like a sucker punch. I was 23, out to a handful of friends in Cheetown, hookups in dive bars anonymous as rain. Stable? In a world that still whispered sin behind rainbow flags? To who? I managed, voice a rasp. Adam's laugh was hollow, echoing off the cupboards. "Anyone. But let's be real, Nate. Who'd have you in this godforsaken town? The boys here see your books and your sketches and think you're soft." "Weak," I bristled, heat rising. "Soft? I've survived you, haven't I?" It slipped out. Years of bottled resentment, the way he'd pushed me to fix cars instead of write stories, his gruff toughen up after every playground bruise. He flinched, but leaned in, the table a no man's land between us. You've survived. More than I ever did back home, dodging stones for being different. Different. The word hung, loaded. I caught whispers. Adam's bachelor days in Belfast, no exes mentioned, just a string of buddies from the pub. The rain started then, a prelude to the deluge. He drained his mug, set it down with deliberate care. "So here's the deal. I sign it over, all of it, free and clear. No debts, no liens. You walk away rich in dirt and timber. But you agree to try. With me, try." My brain short-circuited. "Try what?" He stood, pacing to the window, silhouetted against the lightning-veined sky. "This." He turned, document in hand, and the words tumbled out like an avalanche. "Marry me, Nate. On paper for the inheritance, but off the paper, we see. If it's real. If you feel what I do." The room spun. Marry my stepdad? The man who'd bandaged my knees, taught me to drive stick on back roads, Sat silent at my prom because no date came calling? Shock rooted me, but under it, a traitorous spark. Memories of his hand on my shoulder lingering too warm. The way he'd watch me swim in the creek. Eyes tracing lines he shouldn't. Gay. Both of us, wired the same, in a town that'd crucify us for it. Betrayal? This was inception. A crack in the foundation of everything I knew. I bolted then, out into the storm, boots splashing mud as I ran to the barn. The air whipped my face, cold slaps waking me from the stupor. Inside, among hay bales and rusted tools, I sank against the wall, chest heaving. What the hell was this? Incest-adjacent taboo? Or just two lonely men grasping at straws? Mom's ghost laughed softly from the rafters, her voice in the wind. Love finds a way, baby. Even the crooked ones. Hours passed, or minutes, time dilates in tempests. Adam found me at dawn, soaked flannel over his shoulders, thermos of coffee steaming. No words at first, he just sat, close enough our knees brushed. "I'm sorry," he murmured finally, Irish lilt thickening with shame. "Shouldn't have dumped it like that. But it's eating me alive, Nate. Since you were 18, coming into your own. All fire and ink on your skin from those city tattoos. I fought it. For her. For you." I sipped the coffee, bitter anchor. "And now, with her gone," he shrugged, defeated. "Now it's just us. And this place. If you say no, I get nothing, sold off to developers, our history paved over for condos. But you'd still have a shot. Start fresh, noble, almost. But the hook was in the land, Mom's legacy, tied to this madness. We drove into town that morning, wipers slapping rhythmically, radio crooning Springsteen about highways and broken dreams. Eldridge's main drag was a ghost town on Sundays. Barber shop shuttered, the feed store's neon flickering open like a lie. We stopped at the diner, formica counters sticky with syrup ghosts, and over eggs that tasted like cardboard. I probed. Why marriage? Why not just date? Test the waters without the circus. Adam's fork paused midair. Because it's safe. Legal cover. And because I'm scared shitless. Nate. 45. Never done this proper. Back in Belfast, it was alleys and whispers. Here, divorce laws, taxes, they chew you up if you're out. But married, we're just two fellas holding the fort. Romantic, in a bureaucratic way. Human, too, the raw fear in his voice mirroring mine. I left for Chicago that afternoon, suitcase lighter than my heart, promising nothing. The drive east on I-80 was a blur of flatlands giving way to skyscrapers, Bruce's Thunder Road on loop. My roommate, Jax, a lanky queer artist with a lip ring and zero filters, greeted me with a bear hug and "Dude, you look like death warmed over cheap beer in our Wrigleyville walk-up." I spilled it all, words tumbling like loose change. Jax whistled low. Stepdaddy issues just hit the lottery level. Hot, though? Spill. I punched his arm. But yeah, Adam was broad-shouldered, that perpetual 5 o'clock shadow, eyes that crinkled when he almost smiled. It's fucked, Jax. Incest vibes. Even if not blood. He waved it off. Semantics. If it's love, it's love. But watch the betrayal. Old guys like that, they hide skeletons. Skeletons. The word nagged as weeks turned to months. Classes dragged. Proust on lost time. Irony lost on me. Texts from Adam were sporadic. Fixed the tractor. Rain's good for corn. Or found your ma's recipe book. Made the soda bread. Burnt. Neutral. Aching. I replied in kind. Sketches of city life. Skyscrapers like chrome thorns. Mailed in envelopes that felt like lifelines. Thanksgiving loomed. A siren call back to Eldridge. I drove, gut churning, arriving to a house strung with lights, turkey scent wafting like a truce. Adam met me at the door, apron dusted with flour, that rare smile breaking through. Lad. Good to see you. Hug brief. Electric. Dinner was quiet, ghosts at the table, but after, by the fire crackling with oak logs, he broached it again. Thought on the offer? I poked the embers, sparks rising like doubts. It's insane. But the land. Mom, he nodded, no pressure. That night, sleep evaded. I wandered to the kitchen for water, finding him there, back to me, staring at a photo of us three at the county fair. Mom's arm around us both, Ferris wheel lights haloing our grins. Can't sleep either? I asked. He turned, shadows carving his face. Nightmares. Old ones. We talked then. Really talked. Belfast riots. His first love crushed under a boot. Mom's quiet acceptance when he confessed his preferences years ago. She loved you fierce, Nate. Said you had my fire, but softer. Better, soft. The word stung less now. Dawn crept in, coffee brewing, and I said it, okay. Let's try. His face lit, then shadowed. Paper first? Or, heart pounding. I closed the distance, our breaths mingling. The kiss was tentative, whiskey sweet, worlds colliding in the gray light. Fireworks in my veins, terror in my throat. This was the hook, sunk deep. Winter gripped Eldridge like a jealous lover, snow blanketing the fields in hush-white lies. We kept it secret at first, marriage license filed in Davenport. Across the river in Iowa's liberal pocket, rings plain gold bands hidden under gloves. To the town, we were just baiting it. Adam's crew at the plant ribbing him about the boy coming home to help with chores. But in the house, it shifted. His hand on my lower back guiding me through doorways, shared bed tentative at first, then hungry. Adam was a revelation. Gentle maps traced with mechanic's fingers, murmurs in Gaelic that sounded like spells. The city kid brought poetry, reading Frost by lamplight while he sketched truck parts on napkins, our legs tangled under quilts stitched by Mom's hands. Romance bloomed in stolen moments, drives to Des Moines for errands, holding hands on the dashboard when no semis trailed, picnics in the back 40, corned beef sandwiches and dreams of expanding the farm organic. Sustainable. But conflict brewed, slow as storm clouds. Jax visited in January, crashing on the couch, his urban edge clashing with our cocoon. This place is a time warp, he griped over pancakes, eyeing Adam's flannel like it was radioactive. That night, buzzed on bootleg moonshine from Adam's buddy Seamus. Jax cornered me in the barn. He's using you, Nate. For the land, or worse, to stay in the closet. You're young. Don't chain yourself. Doubt-seated. Adam noticed the chill, confronted me over breakfast. Your mate's stirring shite? I denied, but the fracture widened. Then betrayal struck like lightning. A letter from the lawyer, forwarded from Chicago. Mom's will had a codicil, overlooked in grief's haze. The land wasn't just tied to marriage. It required familial union, witnessed by blood kin. Adam had forged the signature? No, worse. He'd known, and leveraged it, whispering to Mom on her deathbed about protecting Nate the only way. Rage boiled. You manipulated her, I yelled that night, snow howling outside as we faced off in the living room. He didn't deny, eyes wet. For you, lad. To keep you here, safe. From the world that chews up boys like us. Safe felt like chains. Packed, storming to my truck. But he blocked the door. Plea raw. Don't go. This us is real. Beyond the paper, tears hot, I shoved past, engine roaring into whiteout. Crashed at Jax's in Chicago, days blurring into bar crawls and bad decisions. A hookup that tasted like ash. Jax's I told you lectures. But the pull yanked, dreams of Adam's laugh, the farm's earthy pulse. Valentine's came, a care package arriving, Mom's locket with our photo inside. Note scrawled, love's not a deed. Come home. Climax hit in March. Thaw flooding the cedar, washing out roads. I drove back unannounced, finding Adam knee-deep in mud, shoring the creek bank alone. He straightened, mud-streaked, hope flickering. Nate, no more words. I waded in, arms around him, the current tugging but not breaking us. I forgive, I whispered against his neck. But no more secrets. Spring unfurled green. Our bond deepening. Community garden plots seeded with neighbors' wary blessings. Whispers turning to nods. Betrayal's scar faded, replaced by trust's quiet bloom. We married proper in May. Backyard ceremony under apple blossoms. Jax officiating with ironic vows. No grand fortune, just the land, tilled together, a legacy rewritten in sweat and kisses. Years later, as corn tassels danced gold, Adam and I sat on that porch swing, creaking still. Worth the shock? He asked, hand in mine. I leaned in, tasting forever. Every stunned heartbeat, the summer after our quiet wedding, Eldridge baked under a relentless sun, the kind that turned black soil to cracked pottery and tempers to frayed wires. Nathaniel, Nate to most, but Adam called me that in bed, full and formal like a vow renewed. I'd taken to the farm with a convert's zeal, trading Chicago's concrete for Callus's earned pulling weeds and mending fences. Adam watched me sometimes, from the shade of the barn door, a half-smile playing as if he couldn't believe his luck. Or his gamble. Started small. That summer, the shocking requests aftershocks. We'd file joint taxes, claim homestead exemptions that shaved thousands off the property bite. But the real thrill was the intimacy, stolen in broad daylight. A brush of fingers over irrigation valves, his boot nudging mine under diner booths. Romantic? Hell yes. In the way only outlaws find poetry. Whispered, I love yous, behind hay bales, the risk sharpening every touch. But conflict simmered beneath the idol. Town folk, bless their corn-fed hearts, started sniffing. Old Mrs. Hargrove at the co-op, her glasses perched like a judge's gavel. Heard you two made it official. About time someone kept that place from going to seed. Wink implied, knife twisted. Adam laughed it off over beers at O'Malley's, the local Irish dive where shamrock decals peeled like old sins. Gossip's the fertilizer here, lad. Grows tall weeds. I nodded, but unease rooted. Jax, ever the agitator, blew in from the city for a weekend, his Vespa a chroma front to our pickup trucks. This Stepford shit, he declared, sprawled on the porch with a PBR, surveying the horizon's flat infinity. You're domesticated, Nate. Where's the fire? Adam, grilling ribs nearby, shot him a look, wary wolf eyeing a fox. That night, after Jax crashed early, Adam pulled me to the loft, his body urgent, mouth claiming mine like apology. He's wrong. You're wildfire. My match. Deep emotions crested then, postcoital haze where truths spill easiest. What if he's right? I murmured, tracing the knot tattoo on his forearm, faded blue from youth's bravado. This us, it's built on a lie. The will, the marriage. Adam propped on elbow, moonlight silvering his chest hair. Lies fade. This, he pressed palm to my heart. Beats true, yet betrayal loomed, not from Jax, but blood Adams. A call came mid-July, static laced from across the Atlantic. Seamus, his cousin in Belfast, voice thick with porter and portent. Adam, ye das dyin'. Pancreatic. Wants the family round him. Adam hung up, face ashen, pacing the kitchen like a caged stag. Haven't spoken to the old bastard in 20 years. Threw me out when he found the magazines under my mattress. Called me abomination. Humanity's core. Forgiveness or rot. I urged him go. Booked the red eye from Quad Cities to Dublin via Tools proxy. No. Wait. In our world, it was frantic calls to Expedia. Credit card sweating. Take me, I begged. He shook head. Not yet. This is mine to bury. He left with a duffel and a kiss that tasted of goodbye, promising 2 weeks max. The farm echoed without him, chores a metronome to loneliness. I texted sketches, sunset over silos, my hand waving from the tractor seat. Replies sparse. Rainy here. Missin' ye. Then silence. Days stretching to a week. Then 10. Panic gnawed. I drove to O'Malley's, nursing a stout, when Seamus's widow, Eileen's number, relayed via a barfly, pinged my phone. Come quick. Complications. I flew standby. Economy squeeze landing me in Shannon fog-shrouded. Rental car a left-side terror to Belfast snarl. The hospital was a beige labyrinth, antiseptic sting mirroring my dread. Adam in the hallway, slumped on plastic chair, stubble silvering to white. Nate, he breathed, rising to crush me in embrace. Shouldn't have come. Inside, the old man, Patrick, face jaundiced map of regrets, rasped from tubes. Son, he croaked, eyes milky. Adam froze, but I squeezed his hand. Words flowed then, halting. Beatings confessed, church shame, a life unlived. I was wrong, Patrick whispered. Love who ye love. Just come home. Adam wept, shoulders shaking, the boy he'd buried surfacing. We buried him under Ulster drizzle, Piper's lament wailing over the grave. Back at the family pub dark wood, peat smoke, cousins clapped Adam's back, pints foaming. Ye'd a changed. Last year's. Read your letters. The ones about the boy. Me? My stomach dropped. Letters? Adam had written, post coming out, about the lad whose family now, coded but clear. Betrayal inverted. Not Adam's, but the town's. Whispers reached Eldridge via Facebook grapevine. Saw the wedding pics online. Lads in kilts. Wait. No, Eileen, tipsy auntie, had posted our Iowa ceremony snap. Rings glinting. By harvest, when Adam and I rolled home, trucks idled outside the farmhouse, pitchforks metaphorical but pointed. First clash, the plant. Adam's boss, Harlan, a red-faced vet with NRA stickers on his F-150, called him in. Heard you're batting for the other team. Don't fly here, Murphy. Customers complain. Firing veiled as layoff, severance stingy. Adam came home silent, tools tossed in the sink clanging defeat. I seethed, channeling into action, job hunt for him in Des Moines, queer network calls from Chicago contacts. But emotion crested that night, fire pit crackling as crickets chorused. We fight, I said, lacing fingers. Or flee. Adam stared into flames. Fought once. Lost everything. Can't lose you. Climax brewed in October. Eldridge Fall Festa powder keg. Hayrides. Pumpkin spice haze. But under the big top tent. Petitions circulated. Protect family values. Our names atop. Scrawled by Hargrove's pen. Jack's. Visiting again. Spotted it first. Fuck this noise. We're out. But Adam stood, me beside, announcing over the mic, hijacked from the pie contest. Nathaniel and I are married. Legally, lovingly. This land's ours, and so's our story. Gasps. Then applause, scattered, but real. Seamus, visiting from Belfast, hoisting a pint. To the Murphys, new and old, conflict diffused, not dissolved. Harlan boycotted, but new gigs flowed, Adam welding wind turbines, green energy irony. Winter wrapped us tighter, humanistic thaw, community potlucks tentative, then warm, a pride flag on the mailbox, fluttering defiant. Betrayal's echo? Forgiven, like Patrick's deathbed grace. Our love, once shocked into being, rooted deep, branches reaching. One snowy eve, as we shoveled the drive, Adam paused, breath clouding. That request. Maddest thing I ever said. I grinned, snowball in hand. Best plot twist. We laughed, tumbling into drifts. Hearts full as the heartland sky. Spring 2027 brought floods. The Cedar River swelling like old grudges. Lapping at our foundations. Nate and I husbands now. In every sense but the town's full embrace. Piled sandbags till our backs screamed. Neighbors trickling in after dark. Headlights cutting fog like hesitant allies. Can't let the queers drown alone, grumbled old Tom Riley, but his wink softened the jab. Progress, inch by muddy inch. I'd always been the dreamer, Nathaniel the poet with ink-stained fingers and a Chicago swagger softened by Iowa clay. But that flood season, roles reversed. I sketched escape routes on graph paper while he rallied the volunteer fire crew, his voice carrying over roar like Whitman calling to the wild. Romance in resilience. Nights bunked in the high school gym, cots side by side, his head on my shoulder as diesel generators hummed lullabies. Yet undercurrents pulled treacherous. Jax, my anchor from the city days, had taken to weekly calls, his tone laced with concern that bordered on control. You're fading, Nate. That farm's a trap. Come exhibit your art in the loop. I've got a gallery lined up. Temptation tugged. My sketchbooks brimmed with untamed visions. Urbane nudes. Skyline sonnets. While Eldridge demanded practicality. Crop yields, not canvases. Adam sensed it, of course. Over diner hash browns one drizzly morn. His boot nudged mine under the booth. Your boy's circling like a hawk. Planning a raid. I shrugged. Ketchup smear like blood on my plate. Just options. In case. His jaw ticked. That Irish steel. In case of what? Us failing. No. But the word hung. Betrayal. Redux. Not his this time, but mine, the itch to bolt when waters rose. The shocking request's ghost lingered too. In lawyer letters. The property fully deeded now, but with clauses for joint stewardship. Mom's foresight, or paranoia, we'd honored it, planting orchards where corn once choked, inviting for kids for tours. See how two fellas make magic from dirt. Humanistic outreach. But whispers persisted. Charity case. Or worse, slurs scrawled on our mailbox. Climax crested Memorial Day weekend. Eldridge's annual bash, a tinderbox of beer tents and brass bands. Jax arrived unannounced. Vespa gleaming like a middle finger to our rusted F-150. Crashing the picnic with craft IPAs and tales of Boys Town bacchanals. Remember that loft party? Bodies everywhere. No judgments. Adam, flipping burgers at the grill, forced a chuckle. Sounds a hoot. Pass the tongs. Tension crackled. Ozone before thunder. Evening fell. Fireworks prepping. When Jax pulled me aside by the creek. Fireflies winking accomplices. He's holding you back, Nate. Look at you. Dirt under nails. Dreams deferred. Ditch the stepdaddy drama. Let's road trip west. Portland's queer utopia. Heart raced. Visions flashed. Ocean crashes. Anonymous hookups. Freedom's raw edge. But betrayal's blade turned inward. I confessed to Adam that night, under stars pricked like accusations. Porch swing creaking, his hand still in mine. Jax offered. Escape. Said you're chaining me. Silence stretched, painful as pulled wire. Then, voice steady, if it's truth, go. I'll sign the quitclaim. House is yours. No fight? Shock stunned anew. Deeper cut. You'd let me? I. Love's not possession, lad. It's wings. Tears hot. It clung. The request's echo mocking. He'd gambled everything once. Now, release. Emotion flooded, kisses fierce. Bodies mapping forgiveness on the wicker chaise. Dawn found us tangled. Resolved. Stay, but evolve. Summer deepened the bond. Conflict alchemized to growth. I enrolled in online MFA at Iowa State. Thesis on queer cartographies of the heartland. Adam joined a Des Moines support group for late bloomers, sharing Belfast scars with flannel-clad farmers. Jax, visit turned to video calls, his I get it grudging but genuine. You're building something real. Don't fuck it up. Betrayal's lesson. Trust's fragile bloom. We hosted first farm supper that August. Rainbow carrots from our plot. Tables groaning under potluck bounty. Hargrove attended. Pie in hand. Tastes like progress. Laughter rippled. Fireworks of our own making. Fall harvested abundance. Apples crisp. Emotions riper. One crisp eve. As leaves carpeted crimson. Adam proposed anew, not paper, but soul. On bended knee in the orchard. Ring from his Dawes estate, Celtic weave. Emerald heart. Marry me proper. Nathaniel. No strings. Just us. I yesed. Weeping. The shocking dawn now endless noon. Winter whispered peace. Snow mantling secrets. We'd weathered floods. Floods of doubt. Now, hearthwarm. We dreamed expansions. Tiny cabins for queer retreats. Art barns for wandering souls. Humanistic arc. From stunned silence to symphony. Yet life, that sly dramatist, plotted one last twist. Spring 2028. A letter from Belfast. Inheritance from Patrick. Modest but meaningful, a cottage by the sea. Deeded to the sons who forgave. We flew, honeymoon delayed, waves crashing welcome. There, on pebbled shores, Adam traced my palm. Worth every risk, I nodded, salt on lips. Every stunned breath, back in Eldridge. The farm thrived, orchards heavy, community garden a mosaic of hands. Jax curated my first show, Heartland Homoerotica, sold out in Chicago. Betrayal, transmuted to bridge. Our story, once taboo thunder, now ballad hummed at potlucks. By 2029, the farmhouse stood sentinel against time's erode. Porch swing oiled smooth from nightly rituals. Adam's head in my lap, my fingers combing silver threads. Radio crooning Dylan anthems of tangled roots. Nathaniel Kane Murphy, hyphenated now, author of a chapbook that hit queer lit circles like quiet thunder. Stunned inheritance. Reviews praised its raw American romance, code for the gay grit we'd forged from Iowa loam. Drama, though, never quits the stage. Conflict reignited that summer, heat wave mirage shimmering fields, when developers circled, slick suits from Des Moines, eyeing our acres for sustainable sprawl, cookie-cutter homes for young families fleeing cities. Prime location, their pitch deck gleamed, pie charts promising profit. Adam spat tobacco juice, metaphorically, over my dead body, but the offer tempted, 7 figures, enough to buy a brownstone, jet to Belfast quarterly. I wavered, sketching compromises, sell periphery, keep the core. Adam saw it in my eyes, over dinner of fresh trout from the creek. Ye thinkin' of cashin' out? Voice even, but hurt laced like wormwood. Not out on us. Just security, security. The word mocked our origins, the shocking request born of desperation, now echoing in boardroom gloss. Romance strained under strain, touches tentative, beds cold with unspoken. Jax, sensing fracture via FaceTime, jetted in. Sell, Nate. You're an artist, not a yeoman. This Rust Belt romance is romanticizing poverty. Betrayal brewed slow, then boiled. I met the suit solo, coffee at the diner, haggling parcels while Adam welded in the shop. Guilt gnawed, but visions danced, gallery walls for my work, travel funds for his ancestral haunts. Signed prelims in my glove box, hidden like contraband. Climax crashed Labor Day, harvest moon fat and foreboding. Adam found the papers rifling for spark plugs, face crumpling like sodden newsprint. Ye were gonna sell us out? Without a word. Porch confrontation, crickets dirge to our unraveling. It's business, I yelled, voice cracking. For us to build, not just survive, he laughed, bitter as burnt peat. Business? Like my request was, gambled my soul for this dirt, for you. And now, tears tracked his dust-streaked cheeks. The man who'd faced riots now felled by my ambition. Emotion crested, raw as flayed hide. I confessed the itch, the fear of stagnation mirroring his Belfast exile. Forgive me, I begged, knees to gravel. He pulled me up, embrace iron and ache. Can't if you don't choose. Dawn broke, papers burned in the fire pit, ashes scattering like absolved sins. We recommitted, deeper, hybrid farm, orchards plus agritourism, cabins for artist residencies. Jax invested, skeptical turned stakeholder. Fall mended, humanistic harvest. First guests arrived, queer poets and painters dotting the landscape, bonfires birthing collaborations. My second book, Roots and Rings, dedicated to Adam. The plot that stunned me whole. Reviews lauded its betrayal to blessing arc. Our story woven into literary lore. Winter idyll. Snowshoe treks. Mulled cider by hearth. Planning a Belfast honeymoon proper. Patrick's cottage awaited. Waves our witness. But life layered twists. Adam's doc visit. Routine check yielding early prostate, treatable. Fear gripped. But we faced it tandem chemo in Iowa City. My hand his anchor. Spring 2030 bloomed defiant. Tumors tamed. Farm flourishing. Community rallied. Potlucks with rainbow jello salads. Pride floats we led down Maine. Betrayal's scar? Faint as old ink. Reminder of growth's cost. One lilac-scented eve. Orchard walk. Adam paused under boughs heavy with promise. That request. I'd make it again. I kissed him, slow as seasons. And I'd stun again. For this. Years blurred to 2035. Farm a haven, 20 cabins. Annual queer lit fest drawing hundreds. Jax married a sculptor. Co-parenting via co-op creche. We adopted Milo, a freckled foster kid with poetry in his veins, teaching him to mend fences and mend hearts. Drama, eternal, but ours now epic. Floods survived. Fields expanded. Love's drama the sweetest script. Stunned no more, but forever grateful for the shock. 2035's harvest moon hung low, a lantern over fields ripened by decades of deliberate care. The farm, once a crumbling bequest, now Murphy Kane homestead, etched on welcome signs weathered to patina, hummed with life. Artists in cabins penning manifestos. Milo, our 12-year-old firebrand, leading tours with a megaphone voice that echoed Adam's brogue. Nathaniel, ever the scribe, captured it in Legacy Shocks, a memoir trilogy closing the circle on that rain-lashed kitchen night 20 years prior. Yet Kismet, that capricious playwright, scripted one final act. Conflict stirred autumnal, leaves turning traitor gold, when Milo's school project unearthed family lore, a DNA kit, swabbed in curiosity, revealing not just Irish roots but a half-brother, Adams, from Patrick's pre-exile fling, a Chicagoan named Rory, 40-something architect with our green eyes. Rory's call came Harvest Eve, voice tentative over static. Heard about the farm from a lit review. Dad Patrick mentioned you in letters. Can I visit? Adam paled over cider jugs, hand trembling. Another ghost, but humanity beckoned. We invited, porch swept, pie baked. He arrived in a Prius, city sleek amid our mud ruts, hug awkward but earnest. Dinner unfolded tales. Rory's closeted youth, coming out at 30, building rainbow bridges, literal, in Portland designs. Laughter bridged gaps, but undercurrent pulled, inheritance whispers, Patrick's cottage deeded tripartite now. Betrayal's specter flickered, Milo's wide eyes, sensing shift. Does this mean new dad? No, but emotion churned. Adam confessed later, by the creek, water gurgling absolution. Feel like I shorted him. All those years hiding, I held him, rain starting soft. Share, then. The farm, the love, it's elastic. Climax crested Thanksgiving. Extended table groaning, Rory, Jax and spouse. Seamus video toasting from Belfast. Midway, Rory slid papers, co-ownership proposal for the cottage, but laced with query. Sell the Iowa place? Pool funds for a queer elder care wing in Portland. Temptation serpent. Ease for aging bones. Legacy scaled urban. Storm broke post-feast. Me and Adam in the loft. Wind howling judgment. He's family, I urged. But this is ours, blood. Sweat, stunned into being. Adam's eyes. Weary wells. Aye. But what if Selin frees us? Travel. Right without weeds. Fracture fine as frost crack. Dawn walk. Orchard paths slick. Milo trailing with questions. There. Under the apple tree where Adam once proposed. Truth spilled. We stay. But invite him in residency. Shares. Call to Rory. Yes. Hybrid. His designs for expansion. Our soil his canvas. Resolution flowered humanistic. Betrayal alchemized alliance. Rory relocated partial. Cabins redesigned eco-chic. Farm a nexus for diasporic queers. Milo's project? A family tree mural. Branches sprawling continents. Winter 2035 blanketed peace. Hearth stories of shocks survived. Adam, 60 now. Silver fox with laugh lines etched deep. Traced my temple. That request. Birthed an empire. I smiled. Milo asleep between us. And a family. Epilogue years later. 2045. Farm centennial. Balloons bobbing over fields. Gray-haired. Hands linked. We toast ghosts. Mom's grace. Patrick's pardon. Rory's blueprints. Drama's curtain falls gentle. Love, once stunned. Now symphony eternal. In America's heart. Two men proved. Inheritance isn't land, but the shocking courage to claim it. The end? Nah, just intermission. For in every storm, a hook awaits, pulling toward light.